In all the annals of conflict across the galaxy, where war has been the standard state of affairs for time immemorial, there have been many methods and weapons deployed in this terrible practice. Yet there are none that have done so much, slain so many, destroyed so many lives, as the one tool of warfare we are about to discuss. The Extinction grade weapon, the bane of every sentient being in the galaxy. The ultimate expression of war. The Choppa. Welcome, gentle listener, I am Baldermort, your faithful servant, and I wish to introduce you to the factions, forces, and war gear of the Warhammer 40k universe. The grim darkness of the far future, where there is no time for peace. There is only time for war. And we kick off the celebrations for that most holy of all months to the Greenskins, October, with this, the ultimate weapon of the Ork, the Choppa. Now some may state that they would argue with my very position, and every supposition that comes from it. For surely, the weapons of the Silent King that he used on the Catan to smash those beings apart, and then turn the tables and enslave them, would be better situated to earn the top spot. Others will point to the destructive potential of the Celestial Orrery. Others still will point to the Cyclonic Missile, the tools of Exterminatus. More will state that the Eldar had the power to generate vast fleets out of nothing but vision and warp stuffs. So powerful were their weapons of war. And those with truly obscure and rarefied knowledge will nod to themselves in self-congratulatory smugness that they know of the time-bending and utterly lethal weaponry of the Spirit of Eternity, that most advanced of all human ships from the dark age of technology. But to all of ye I say nay. Nay, nay, and thrice nay I say unto thee. For in all of the history of the Milky Way galaxy, it is utterly irrefutable that the most living being slain must, of course, go to the Choppa. To gain true perspective, and to employ wisdom, one must only look at the time frames involved, and the ubiquitous nature of said slaughter slicer. For the Orks were once the Krork, and they fought in that legendary First War at the beginning of the entire timeline of the galaxy. The war in Devon. The war in Heaven. They survived this conflagration and, without any shadow of a doubt, have been the most numerous and bellicose of beings ever since. Oh, the Eldar did indeed slaughter the Krork so badly that they devolved into their current manifestation, the Orks. Yet even while the culls were going on from their erstwhile allies, the period involved is between 20 to 60 million years or more, and the Eldar have always been effete and rather shy on numbers, even at their height. Nobody can ever question that they did indeed rule the galaxy from the end of the First War and throughout the entire period of the Necron slumber, all the way up to their fall from grace and subsequent destruction at the hands of the being they birthed, Slaanesh. Yet despite this, they were never that many. Powerful, but not populous. It is the Orks that have ever been the most numerous people, even during and after the times of the Great Crusade, and throughout the hegemony of mankind and their Imperium. The Greenskins outnumber even the Humies by factors. And in all of that time, it is the Orks that have performed the most carnage and slaughter. Mostly on their own kind, if truth be told, but that is neither here nor there in our estimations. For it is the efficacy and sheer slaughter that has been wrought by this weapon that makes it stand head and shoulders above all others. Nor is it a weapon that has been the exclusive purview of the Orks alone, for most sentient species or races have at least dabbled with its use, if not used it as a mainstay of their arsenals for millennia, and even up to the current era. It is everywhere, it is everything, wielded by near every species, race, and every creed. Its name is legend, its place unquestionable, its slay stack unmatched. The Choppa. Yet, despite this being the weapon that has taken more heads than a hook, okay, I can't say that, but it has inarguably been the end of more beings than any other. Yet still, it is never given its due. There have been so many names for it amongst humanity alone. Hundreds is no exaggeration. Yet to the Greenskins, to the Orks, it has but the one name. The Choppa. Okay, there are types of Choppa to be certain, and we shall run through them in a moment. But inevitably, any of these weapons could be described as a chopper, and any other Ork would not think this descriptor inaccurate. Hence, now that we know the import of that which we discuss, let us push on and begin to catalogue the glorious bounty of forms in which this, the Chopper, can manifest. The Chopper. Ostensibly, a chopper is the Orky designation for any form of sharp and stabby or hacky weapon. Most often, these are lumps of heavy, sharpened metal, but this is not always the case. An effective chopper can be created from near any substance that will hold even a mild edge. Rocks are especially popular among some antiquated factions or cultures of the Orks, such as the snakebites. The quintessence of the matter is that a chopper is a heavy, sharpened weapon used to separate a foe into their constituent parts. A knife, sword, axe, polearm, dirk, dagger, hatchet, or katana, etc., etc. All are dubbed choppers by this convention. Now, one might think that the totality of the event, but it is not. Let us catalogue the various grades of said chopper. Big Chopper. This is a very heavy chopper, most often chosen due to its heft and swing, not necessarily its actual cutting ability. Yet, these weapons are most often wielded by nobs and war bosses. Hence, it is often the best in the warband's collection, and can have chainsaw blades or circular saws to improve its choppiness. The Beast Chopper. Used by the Beast Boys, it is a thing of horror. As it is so effective, it can be used on light vehicles to some effect, and the mess it makes of mere infantry is similar to getting a bag of tomatoes and throwing them into a wood chipper. The Huge Chopper. The Huge Chopper is normally the weapon of a mega-armoured war boss. Having augmented strength from his mega armour, the weapon is far larger than even a big chopper, and it is the bane of not only walkers, vehicles, but even heavily armoured units. To use a huge chopper on a normal man would be the equivalent of dropping a piano on a mouse. The carnage would be X-rated at the very least. The Mega Chopper. Only seen on gargants and other huge bastards of war. The Mega Chopper is the size of a small hab block, and able to carve a knight or even a god machine of war, an Imperial Titan, into bits. Its use on line infantry is both hilarious and extremely messy. The Power Claw. Although designated as claws, these are still considered choppers, as they have a sharp edge and, chop bits off Orky foes. The Power Claw is used by a wide tranche of the Ork heroes. It is like a lightning claw, but without the lightning effect most of the time. A hand grabber with serrated and vicious sharp edges, it combines crushing and cutting power in a perfect synergy of Orky perfection. A steampunk's dream. The Snagger Claw. Much like a standard power claw, with the exception being the addition of a harpoon element. This weapon fires out the bolt and snags a ruffian who is then brought, most often wailing, kicking and screaming, into the clutches of the Ork. And then, of course, the Power Claw element comes into play. The Dread Claw. A meaty weapon that is attached to a Death Dread, and Dreadnought equivalent. It is able to crush and slash through Imperial Dreadnoughts, Eldar Wraith units, or even Tau battlesuits, like it was made for the purpose. Which, of course, it was. Gork's Claw. A vile weapon indeed, as it is used on the Gork or Morkanaut. Either of these knight-sized monsters of carnage utilize it to hack through tanks, fortifications, or whatever the heck they choose. Now, onto the next classification, the Saw. Starting with the Kill Saw, that is touted by many a boy. It is, unsurprisingly enough, a buzzsaw with very little protective gear to support its mounting. because the Orks are far more interested in getting the job done than any concerns of health and safety. Good on 'em. The buzzsaw is the next up, and is usually to be found at the end of a killer can's appendage. The wee grot inside the killer can whooping with joy as he cuts all around him to pieces. The dread saw. Now this horror is usually seen on a death dread, and its huge circular cutting disc has been the bane of many a Terminator tank or trooper. With a disc so large it could not even be lifted by a man, it is a threat that haunts the dreams of many an Imperial warrior. And now, we get onto the small amount of named choppers. Legendary ones. Wielded by boss Zagstruck, the Vulture's Claws. Slightly more hefty than a claw, marginally more stabby and cutty also. The Vulture's Claw is a weapon worthy of such a boss as Zagstruck. Mork's teeth are the weapons of boss Snickrot, the Stalker. 2 black blades of ultimate choppiness, he uses them as a method of devotion. For both blades have been bathed in 100 Humies' blood, and are thus consecrated to the Ork god Mork. Next is Gut Ripper, the weapon of Beastsnugger boss Mozrog Scragbad. This thing may look like Wolverine has lost his middle knife, but is lethality itself in his hands, or on them really. For it is a thing that can peel open a metal box of the Imperium with the merest flick of the wrist. Something that Scragbad does on the regular, of course. And now, the pièce de résistance, the Claw of Gork. Similar in name to Gork's Claw, because it is pretty much the same size. It is the ultimate expression of the power claw, and it is used by the biggest, brightest and most orky of all Orks, the legendary Gazgul Mag Uruk Thraka, the Prophet of Gork. And some say the Prophet of Mork as well, but on the guides, do we honestly believe that here? I think not. And there we have it, the Chopper, the forms and names, sizes and styles thereof. And all I can say is this: a very happy Orktober to all. And if you enjoy Ork videos, then hit the links in the video description. Now, no matter what you do today, do try to make some time for crumping. Toodaloo.